Well, 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 folks. It seems like Mr. Banking Fat Cat himself. That's right, Mr. J.P. Morgan, otherwise known as Jamie Dimon, who has inherited the will and spirit of the robber baron himself, J.P. Morgan. He has said that crypto is a fraud and a scamster's tool. That is right. He says it's used for nothing but scamming, fraud, and illicit money laundering. And if he were the federal government, he would shut that down. Now, he must not be the federal government, and it's a good thing he's not because it has not been shut down, and there's many people advocating for Bitcoin and cryptos. And you know what? I think Jamie Dimon has forgotten who's the real fraudster and scammer and who's at the top of the pyramid of schemes and frauds. Let me remind you that JP Morgan, since the year 2000, has been fined $39 billion for illicit money laundering, fraud, and all those other things. That is more than all those crypto scams combined by a whole lot. Yes, you can combine all the crypto scams and it still would not be $39 billion. And that's just the stuff that we know. I mean, they get caught and slapped with a fine every so often for silver manipulation, for illicit money laundering, for involvement in, Epstein's Island. So they're involved in a lot of things that we don't know about, and $39 billion might just be the tip of the iceberg. Man, if I was the federal government, I would shut Jamie Dimon down and I would shut JP Morgan down because they promote a lot of illicit fraud schemes and illicit money laundering and also sex trafficking via Epstein Island, which it seems like they were involved in. So let's not forget that fact. And you know what? This congressman's facial expression, I think, says it all. When Jamie Dimon was, that guy's facial expression, I think, says it all when Jamie Dimon was actually saying all of this, that crypto was used for nothing but illicit schemes. I don't think he really believes in Jamie Dimon, and I don't think that anyone else really does either. So the thing is, they also have a coin. Let's not forget. So they use the technology as well for JPM coin, and that might be helping them in their illicit money laundering. So, I don't really know if I would listen to Jamie Dimon on this because he seems to be an expert in how to launder money and how to run illicit schemes. And I'm not joking on that one. I'm pretty sure that one is actually true. So, basically, obviously, a lot of people in crypto started pointing out his hypocrisy and his recent remarks about Bitcoin and crypto on the U.S. Senate Committee on Banking and Urban Affairs, and he was testifying to Congress. Obviously, the forces of J.P. Morgan and Jamie Dimon are very, very threatened by crypto. It threatens to upend their power over the economic markets, and obviously that's why they want to shut it down. Not really for money laundering and tax evasion and illicit trades and stuff. JP Morgan would welcome that with open arms because they obviously do a lot of it, $39 billion of it. And he is being grilled right now, saying that the only true use case is to facilitate crime because people do use crypto as a means of exchange. Now, a lot of people do use crypto as speculation, but that's not really a crime. That's just creating a different market for investment that didn't exist before without so many barriers for entry. But a lot of people, especially in the developing world, do use it to transfer money for remittances, and also places like El Salvador do have it as legal currency where people can actually, store their money in Bitcoin, and it's way more dependable than a lot of other money that they actually have access to. He says the only true use for it is criminals, drug traffickers, money laundering, tax avoidance, he said in a hearing. But crypto pundits quickly pointed out the hypocrisy in his statements, and of course, them having paid $39.3 billion in fines across 272 violations since the year 2000. That's like more than one violation a month. And the average violation is over $100 million for JP Morgan. And About 38 billion of these came under Dimon's watch. So he knew about these. And if you know how often they actually get caught for manipulating silver, you know he's the one orchestrating all this stuff. It's well known that silver is well manipulated by JP Morgan, so he is at the top of a manipulative scheme. Talk about a beeping hypocrite. John Deaton says on X, he's in no position to criticize Bitcoin with this sort of track record. And he's noted that banks worldwide have paid $380 billion in fines in this century now. This century is only 20 years old. So, like, JP Morgan is only about 1/10 of what the banks have done, which makes sense. JP Morgan is one of the biggest banks out there. So, obviously, people like John Deaton have had a problem with Jamie Dimon's statement, as does everyone else. So basically, let me talk about being a hypocrite. Who's the criminal, Jamie Dimon? Let me ask you, in the last 5 years, when JP Morgan has been fined over $35 billion for illicit and fraudulent activities, did any of your staff use Bitcoin or crypto? Probably not. But you know what? JP Morgan might have some investment in crypto as well. He's just really afraid that crypto is going to take out his banking power and take his power away in the financial industry. You know, BlackRock, Fidelity, etc. have actually signed on. So he didn't mention the Bitcoin ETFs because those are not money laundering operations. Obviously, he has an ally in Elizabeth Warren because Elizabeth Warren thinks crypto is the same thing. But I think some congressmen will actually disagree because they are receiving crypto donations. So I'm not really sure if Jamie Dimon actually scored some points for himself actually doing this, because it's so easy for anyone to point out the hypocrisy that that's spewing out of his mouth. And I don't really think there's anything that he can do to actually deflect that. And of course, some of JP Morgan's glorious settlements include a $75 million settlement with the U.S. Virgin Islands over allegations that it enabled and financially benefited from Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking between 2002 and 2005. And of course, not all settlements are admissions of guilt, but if you're settling for a large amount, it probably does mean you are guilty. And obviously, in 2013, the bank paid $13 billion, the largest fine in its corporate history, for misleading investors over toxic mortgage deals. So they have a variety of schemes. And let's not forget, the whole reason that crypto was created out of the 2008 crash was because people got tired of big banks doing their thing and they wanted a way out. And that's exactly why Jamie Dimon is actually afraid of crypto, because it provides a way out of the banking structure for people. And that means they will lose money, they will lose power, and they're going to lose a lot of the influence they have if crypto takes over, because they can't quite control crypto the way they control the banking structure. Yes, crypto is relatively controlled by a couple of big players, but guess what? They're not the players that are actually controlling it because they didn't get in early. So, Satoshi Nakamoto has 1 billion, MicroStrategy has like 150,000, BlackRock's going to have a bunch, and I think JP Morgan is really looking at this like, we didn't get in early enough and we're going to lose some of our control. So what do? We got to fund it and get Congress to shut it down. However, like that congressman's skeptical look of Jamie Dimon, I don't think that's going to work, because I think everyone is looking at Jamie Dimon like that. And I think he's going to lose this battle along with Gary Gensler and Elizabeth Warren. It seems like Gensler, I don't know about Warren, but Gensler is definitely playing basically his mouthpiece in the SEC. But as you can see, there's kind of dissension within the SEC, and the courts are not ruling in favor of these banking giants, and they're ruling in favor of crypto, probably because a lot of people in the traditional financial industry are favoring crypto now because they see that there's a lot of money to be made. And giants like BlackRock and Fidelity are seeing that there's no way they can stop the train. So they're getting on the train, and Jamie Dimon is going to get run over by the train sooner or later. JP Morgan might be a big roadblock, but in the end, that's all they are, a big roadblock. They will be smashed, they will be defeated, and crypto will reign supreme over them. I mean, it's not like they don't have their hand in crypto. They have JPM coin, and he said it transfers like billions of dollars per day of crypto. So, it's not like he's not in the game. He's just not far enough in the game for him to dominate. And so he wants the game to be taken out altogether. This is all about self-interest, all about the interest of himself and JP Morgan, nothing to do with the well-being of the United States or the financial industry. And he's forgetting, even if the federal government wants to shut it down, they can, because crypto is a worldwide thing. People are going to use VPNs to trade if you shut down like the official channels. And I don't think in the United States there's any real way you can actually make VPNs illegal like they did in China. So I think he's fighting a war that's already been lost. He knows it, and he's just trying to drag it out. And this is, I think, why Gary Gensler and the SEC is trying to drag it out, because they're listening to people like him. But they're on the losing side of this war, and things will not be very pretty for them when it all comes to a head. Now, I'm pretty sure that JP Morgan is probably positioning itself in the crypto market as well. We know they are one of the major investors behind Ethereum, so they're not really out of the game. They're just not quite into it as much as they'd like. And without being into it that much, they know they can't control it, and that's why they are so much against it. So that's the story I have for today. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe, hit that bell notifications button, and I will see you guys later.